My guest today is one coach I have been privileged to train under and is one of the best coaches I've ever trained with, and I'm not just saying that. But he has a story to how he got to be where he is, and it's quite interesting. Welcome to another episode of It Is Mandatory, How I Did It series. Welcome, Ed, to It Is Mandatory. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Amanda, for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who is Ed?
A bit of information. Well, Ed, full name Edmund. I am a personal trainer. I am a group fitness instructor. I work at Alpha Fit Gym. I run a class or a program called Z6 Cross Training.
Okay.
And pretty much that's all there is to say about myself.
Okay. So Ed, we're here talking about fitness and lifestyle transformations, and I usually like to go to the very beginning of people's journeys, and of course that's childhood, just to get a feel of what was childhood like for you in terms of health and fitness. What kind of child were you? Were you sedentary? Were you active? Take me through that journey.
I'd say I'd go as far back as primary school.
Okay.
I'd say that's when you discover whether you're active or not active. So I guess I was one of those kids who was more into PE or physical education as opposed to being in class.
Okay.
I would try as much as I can to join the team, so I'd say I was fairly active growing up.
Okay.
So that went through till probably high school as well. I kind of slowed down in university, but I still that's when the transition started. But if you were to go back as far as when I started, I'd say from primary school.
Okay, so when it's funny because if you're in a girls' school, were you in a mixed school or a girls' school? I mean, a boys' school?
That was a boys' school in primary school, high school, mixed school.
Okay, so in primary school, that's when we girls learn those tricks. We avoid fitness, like PE, like a plague. But it's interesting to see that the thing that many girls, I used to try and avoid, though I like the outdoors, but I tried to avoid it. That's the thing that you run to. So that's clearly a sign of probably where your future was headed.
That's an indication of where it's heading, because I mean, you're not going to say that, okay, since you don't perform as well as others in class, that means that you're more so the guy who plays sports.
A sport,
well, I didn't really perform as well as I should have.
but still that's no excuse.
That's no excuse. I just knew where my interests lie, I think, from a very early age. So I tried as much as possible to stay as active as I could.
Okay, so when you went into campus, so there's no point at which you stopped, like you just were like, oh, life is I'm pursuing this other thing.
Things change once you get into campus, because that's when you realize, okay, fine, you have to, well, not have to, but there is more responsibility in terms of you have to schedule some time to go and read, go to the library, spend some time and actually try and, pass the exams.
Okay.
So there's not too much time to say, okay, I'm just going to pick up and, join the teams and play every evening, like if you're playing soccer, if you're playing rugby, basketball, whatever. So you're kind of restricted to just the weekends or maybe on a holiday. That's when I can actually stay active. Okay. So for me, I think it was it was just weekends, and then at one point then became very hectic to do weekends. So I decided, okay, I still want to stay active. So that's when I signed up for a gym.
Okay.
Yes, I signed up to a gym.
Okay, so so in campus, and that's also another thing. When I was in campus, I was so engrossed in what I was studying that I didn't realize, there are sports teams. There's sports competition. Guys play swim. So did you do any university sport?
No, I didn't do any university sport. I think I was more, but I used to follow the games that would happen, because, like Nairobi University, for instance, they'd be very big on rugby, soccer as well, basketball.
Yes.
I mean, I would go to the games and watch the games. Okay. I would have some of the players that would play over the weekend and stuff like that. So.
Okay. So you'd still work out in the weekend. So how did you go from that to Ed, the fitness trainer, who kind of sort of kills me, but not in the gym?
Oh, tries to kill everybody. But yeah, it started as a hobby. I think towards the end of my school year, so in fourth year, that's when now discovering whether you should start doing internship. So I was in between deciding what I need to do and also how to pass time. So of course, when you do your internship, there's some days when you just have some free time of your own. So I would go to the gym, and I, of course, just for your own self. So there was a lot of learning over there. And then at some point, I used to have some time in the evening where I would say, okay, I'm in the neighborhood, I could just do my own training, and then slowly I would just do my own body weight exercises, no equipment, and then a neighbor just catches sight of me and says, "Oh, wow, you're a fairly fit guy. I don't go to the gym. Do you mind if I join one of your programs?" So I'm like, "Well, okay, why not?" So, you know, it started with one neighbor.
Wow.
Yeah, so the neighbor then calls his wife and they're like, "Oh, suddenly it's 2 people." Suddenly they're like, "Oh, we'll only train when you're around." So I'm like, And I think I'm actually starting to coach these guys.
Okay.
So it started with 2, and then they call their friends, and the next thing you know, it's a whole group of people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how you started.
That's how it started. Like it started as a hobby.
That.
I never charged anybody.
Yes.
So that's really how it began.
Okay, so at which point then did you decide to say, okay, this thing is actually like a proper business that I can actually run and make money from it?
The thing started because now the group grew too big.
Okay.
So of course the committee in the neighborhood were like, okay, look, unless it's a business, I think you better stop this thing. So I was kicked out.
Really?
Well, not out of their apartments, but anyway,
okay.
They had to shut down the whole program.
Okay.
And then I joined another group of guys, and then we decided to start training guys in Karura.
Okay.
So that's when the group grew even bigger.
Okay.
And then from there, I think we now just went different ways, and then I started now focusing more on like training people at Valley Arcade. So I now started paying rent towards a place towards training guys.
Okay.
And then from there now the group grew. Now you start charging people. You start making it a bit more professional. You register your company. So the responsibility, a bit more structure to it. And before you know it, you are where you are now.
You are here.
Exactly.
Out of it.
Exactly.
So okay. So at which point at which point, I mean, you were pursuing a career, an internship. So what, you just dropped the career and you're like, I'm done with that. Let me do this fitness thing.
I compared because, I mean, with an internship, you're not really earning as much as you'd like.
Yes. And
then again, you have to be at a place where you're now paying rent. So you're thinking, okay, if I now, take out some cash from my savings, am I going to have enough left for myself? So you figure, okay, if I start charging guys this much, at least I'm able to pay rent and have some for myself. So I was comparing which one actually makes more sense financially.
Yes.
So I'd say the fitness side actually made more sense to me. Before I knew it, I was like, okay, this is gonna be my thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for me the most amazing thing is the crossover, because most people, like I think most trainers that I know have like gone to school and studied and then now like that's the thing that they were pursuing. But it gives me motivation, like the way I'm an enthusiast, fitness enthusiast, like eventually like I could just cross over to become a coach. Wow.
That's how it is. Obviously, I mean, after a while, once you do it for a while, you understand the industry a lot better and you realize that there's a lot more technical things that you didn't understand.
Yes.
So, and you also want to be a bit more specific because you can be a trainer, but you don't want to train guys everything. You don't want to train like rugby players, soccer players, and they all have different styles of training.
Yes.
Someone wants to lose weight, someone wants to be an athlete, and you're like, okay, let's just train you the same way. No.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to specialize.
Yes.
So I then got a certification in metabolic conditioning.
Okay.
So I did that.
Wow.
Got the papers, and then so that's when I decided to focus on what I do now.
Okay. Yeah. So what would you say are the things that motivate you to do what you do? Train people. Why do you train people? What's the reward in that?
Obviously there's the financial side, but that's not the main thing. I think for me it's more of I think the reaction I get from people once they hit their goals, there's nothing more satisfying. Until today, you get somebody pulling you aside and telling you, when I started this thing, I was going through certain things. Like when they get to a comfortable place, when they open up, they start telling you the real issues why they started.
Yes.
So you get to know people on a more personal level. And I think it also helps me, like, because I'm not very extroverted, so a bit of an introvert, but you have a scenario here where you're now the person who people turn to get information from. So you kind of feel like, okay, this is also helping me now gradually get out of my box. So it's just the reward that people get from the whole experience. So that's, for me, I think that's the biggest motivation as a trainer.
And I love that as much as you really help people, it also kind of helps you in certain ways.
You're
like
building.
You grow as a person,
Exactly.
and you realize you're able to get out of certain shells that you've put yourself
Exactly.
in. So what would you say over the years of your experience of fitness and training, for anyone, any advice you'd give someone who's sedentary, sitting, and they're like, I don't even know where to start, how?
There's just so much advice to give, but I think the main thing is that you need to value, first of all, your own life, because certain things like health issues are a real thing. You might overlook them. You might think that it's fine that I can get by with just my walks up and down the stairs, or just maybe trying to portion your meals and everything, but you realize that over time that as you grow older, or the more you adopt a more sedentary life, it then becomes difficult to, do more active things.
Yes.
And that then affects your cardiovascular, then affects your joints and everything. So there's small things that can accumulate over time.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you wonder, like, you're in your 30s and your guys are looking at you like, hey, boss, are you like 40 or something? Are you 50? What's going on? You're graying. You're now having a slouch in your back. It's because you're not activating your core enough. So it's small things if you can avoid. I think you just start doing it early. Just adopt the lifestyle. There's a lot more reward to it than just being sedentary, I'd say. Yeah.
Wow, I love what you said is value your life, value your body, and then begin to take the steps to make sure that you're at your optimum. Why would you then be at 30 and look like you're 50 because of your lifestyle?
Nobody else will do it for you, so you have to take the initiative. You have to ask the questions. You have to learn what else everybody else is doing. So just be hungry for knowledge, hungry for results. So I guess it also makes you better in everything else that you're doing in life. Awesome. That's what I would say. Awesome. Yeah?
So what's the future for Ed in the fitness industry?
Oh wow, our future keeps changing, but anyway, the goal is to grow the brand, obviously under AlphaFit, and maybe just to grow beyond that as well. But it's really just to also get to a point where I no longer need to, do the whole, like running around bit. More of just taking a step back and letting others now adopt the same training style that I've been trying over the years to generate. Then be more of like a coach who can go out and just give guys like some talks or like small coaching tips here, like some sort of mentorship or something.
Okay.
And then of course, a bit of training here and there, but I think in the end I would really just want to create a brand that people can then turn back and say, okay, this gives me results.
Wow.
And it works for me. So that's what I want to create.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I absolutely wish you all the best with
Thank
that,
you.
Ed. I've trained with Ed and he has I have seen results and he's amazing, and I'm not just saying it. So thank you so much for coming to share your journey.
Thank you for having me.
And I do wish you all the best in the future.
Okay.
But we are definitely going to have to see exactly what Ed does in the gym when he talks about how he trains and how he's a trainer. So stay tuned for part 2 of How I Did It. What's up? Welcome back to It Is Mandatory How I Did It Part 2. We're back here with Ed at the AlphaFit Gym. How you doing, Ed?
I'm good, Manda. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. So what are you going to get into your group class today? We're going to see Ed in his element as Coach Ed. What you going to do for the class?
Well, I had a workout planned for them today. It's going to be, every day is kind of different. So today we're going to focus on more of a pull exercise, a bit of knee dominant exercises. So those are like leg muscles, your hamstrings. So we'll start off with a bit of a, like an introductory workout, warm up into it. And then they'll do like a 20-minute workout, and at the end they'll finish off with a Metcon, which should finish them. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea.
We look forward to watching as Ed finishes his class. So let's get into it and see Coach Ed do his thing.
All right.
Wow, there you have it. Did you see Coach Ed in his element? I was just watching those box jumps. I was like, wow. Wow, so it was a 1 hour class?
That was a 1 hour class. Every day it's like that. We always focus on something else. So guys seem to come back, even if at the end, they're all tired and they're cursing my name and they're like, oh no, we're never going to come back again. Tomorrow we'll see them again. Trust me.
So I have a question, Ed. I saw you killing other people. How about you? When do you work out?
I actually do work out every day.
Yes.
Whenever I can, at least 5 times a week. So before they came in, I did my own session 1 hour.
Yes.
So it's always different. Sometimes I might do the program before I give it to the class. Sometimes I might do my own strength training program.
Yes.
It always varies every day.
Actually, I'll attest to it because when I came in, he was in his workout. So he actually did his workout and then went on to kill other people while they did theirs. Awesome, Ed. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for showing us how you do it as Coach Ed.
Yes.
I look forward to watching your progress in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Mother.
Awesome. So stay tuned to It Is Mandatory How I Did It. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, etc. And stay tuned for the next episode of It Is Mandatory How I Did It. Bye.